welcome. My name is David Brannigan. I'm the Communications Manager of Fingal Chamber, and we're pleased to be hosting the local area business forum with Fingal County Council. The aim of this virtual series is to give businesses an update on the local authorities' supports and plans for economic development, enterprise and tourism. This webinar will feature an address from Fingal County Council's Chief Executive, AnnMarie Farrelly, and a presentation from the Director of Economic, Enterprise, Tourism and Cultural Development, Emer O'Gorman. These briefings will also be followed by a Q&A session. If you have any questions throughout, please use the Q&A feature in the Zoom toolbar below, and we'll do our best to get to them. But first, to address attendees, I'd like to invite Fingal Chamber President, Andrea Malloy, to say a few words. Andrea?
Thank you, David. Good morning, and what a beautiful morning it is. And for those of you who may not know me, my name is Andrea Malloy and I'm President of the Fingal Chamber of Commerce. Thank you for joining our local business forum in conjunction with Fingal County Council this morning. As the region's largest business organisation, Fingal Chamber helps businesses of all sizes to grow and develop by providing members with opportunities to influence policy, connect with businesses and professionals, train their workforce, promote their business, and trade internationally. The Chamber is committed to promoting local economic development and enhancing the economic prosperity and quality of life across the region, whilst ensuring local businesses have a competitive advantage. The primary services the Chamber offers to members include advocacy and lobbying support, where we liaise with government departments, engage with policymakers and the media, and directly represent on industry and community committees. The Chamber also coordinates upskilling and training programs. This is provided through the Fingal Chamber SkillNet, where we operate and promote subsidised training determined by business needs and customised and delivered locally. We are also very proactive with our networking and events programme, where we host regular government and key stakeholder briefings, a business networking series, and a variety of social events. The Fingal Chamber website also has an exclusive members information centre. This allows members to network online, profile their business, share news updates, events, job vacancies, and special offers with the business community. Over a year ago, like many, our operations were forced to change, but the Chamber quickly adapted to working with COVID-19. As the Chamber staff moved seamlessly to working virtually for most of our services, we reacted to the new reality by changing our focus to helping businesses survive. Looking ahead, we have lots happening over the coming months. If you are already a Chamber member, I encourage you to check out and join in our upcoming activities, which are listed on the Fingal Chamber website. If you're not yet a Chamber member, you can find more information online at fingalchamber.ie or by contacting a member of our team to find out how membership can benefit your business specifically. I hope you find today's event useful, and on behalf of the Chamber and myself, I wish you and your business every success in the future. I would also like to sincerely thank Fingal County Council Chief Executive, AnnMarie Farrelly, and Director of Economic, Enterprise, Tourism and Cultural Development, Emer O'Gorman, for joining us today. I'll hand you back now to our host, Fingal Chamber Communications Manager, David Brannigan. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Andrea. We'll jump right into the event then this morning. And first up, I'd like to invite Fingal County Council's Chief Executive, AnnMarie Farrelly, to speak.
Thank you, David and Andrea, and thank you very much to Fingal Chamber for giving Fingal County Council the opportunity to talk to businesses today. I'm looking forward to your comments during the morning and to hear how you're getting on at the moment. I suppose delighted particularly to talk to what we call the Dublin Enterprise Zone, the centre of the largest employment area of the county. I suppose conscious that there's a lot of big employers in the Dublin Enterprise Zone, and the top 25 employers in Fingal represent 20% of our workforce. That's the number of jobs that they employ. But important to note, that's only 0.3% of the businesses in the county. So the businesses we really rely on throughout the county are the smaller businesses and those with a less number of jobs, but probably a bigger impact throughout the county. It's been a strange start to my tenure as Chief Executive. I would have hoped to be out and about meeting you quite often, and certainly have been at more Fingal Dublin Chamber events than has been possible in the last year. But to say, first of all, in relation to COVID, Fingal County Council has remained open at all time, and we've had to deliver our services right through the pandemic. And that's been a challenge, no more than it's been a challenge for all of you. We have been designated clearly as an essential service, which means we've been open. And we've had to accelerate our digital transformation programme, which fortunately we had planned before the pandemic, but which we had anticipated would take about 3 years. Ultimately, it took 3 months. We had to transform in the first 3 months of the pandemic very quickly so that we could have our employees working from home. Aligned with that, I suppose we have half of our workforce who need to be out on the ground, who need to work in accordance with health and safety guidelines and stay safe during COVID. So that has taken up a lot of my time in the last year. But I'm pleased that a lot of our residents are now staying in their own hometown as they work from home and getting to know the Fingal area very well. I want to cover today a couple of topics, I suppose, some of the other reactions and services that we've offered during COVID. The Fingal Development Plan, which is now being renewed, and there's a public consultation in relation to the strategic issues live at the moment. I want to look at our infrastructural investment in the county and also what we're doing about housing. And then I'd like to focus on the immediate, which is summer 21. And I've been working with government and the rest of my local authority colleagues to try and plan out the reopening of the county and try to make sure that we deliver the supports that we can deliver on time, and which will help businesses get that reopening done safely. And I suppose more importantly, get trade going in the county again. So then just moving back to COVID, I mentioned that we continued delivering our services during COVID, but we also took on a number of important services. And the business supports that we were responsible for were the Restart Grant, the rates waiver, and some other schemes in terms of allowing more activity outdoors. And Emer's going to bring you through the detail of that. We operated those schemes and continue to operate those schemes on the basis that it's important that the support gets to business quickly. So we designated a lot of resources to the likes of the Restart Grant. We reassigned staff to ensure that that could be run as efficiently as possible and to make sure that the money reached businesses' accounts quickly. The other services we took on was the community call, and I suppose there was a lot of concern at the beginning of the pandemic that there would be people left behind. A lot of people were being asked to cocoon the elderly and those with health issues. And there was a big concern that those that didn't have family support would have run into difficulty. So we took a lead on that, but at the end of the day, we had many partners, including the Chamber of Commerce, who helped us, I suppose, identify what was needed to be done and then helped us deliver. So we had a lot of volunteers out in the county delivering groceries, delivering from pharmacies, etc. But you know, ultimately, if a service was required, we found somebody who would deliver it, and that was kind of evidence of us working together. And thanks to everybody, I mean, the strength when we work together is so much greater than when we are trying to deliver individually. I mentioned that outdoors, and it's going to be even more important in summer 21 because the public health advice for summer 21 is likely to be you can do almost anything you want to do, but you need to do it safely, and you can do it more safely if you're outdoors. So I'm conscious of that in terms of businesses that are reopening, and we're looking at spaces that can be used by you, and you'll be aware of the schemes that are there to help you, and Emer will bring you through them shortly. Again, our parks, open spaces, coast, so important at this time, so busy. You know, the reality is we've been operating at a midsummer good weather level since January. In all weathers, people are out and about in our county, and that's putting some challenges on us. I'm delighted that they're getting to see the county and enjoying it, but you know, we've had to have more staff out in the ground maintaining operational services. The likes of litter has become a problem for us to deal with, and we're looking for businesses to work with us on that. we're investing $500,000 in additional bins. That process is ongoing. And we have more staff on the ground to deal with litter during your business hours, trying to make our towns and villages look good and make sure that they're good places to visit and dwell in. Trying to maintain public spaces in a pandemic when you're not allowed, I suppose, have your employees work in the same way, you know, and which is not possible during a pandemic, is a challenge. But I think we've met that challenge well, and I'm very pleased with how our workforce has adapted and continues to adapt as new challenges are thrown at us. You know, we want to have Fingal to be known as a place that's good to work in, good to live in, good to visit, and a really good place to do business in. So unless our services match that, we won't be able to achieve it. I mentioned the Fingal development plan now being renewed, and a really important thing for business. You know, we want to make sure that we have employment land zoned in the right places to meet your needs. The evidence we have from the Dublin 15 area is that investment continued right through the pandemic. You know, you'll see the only thing that delayed the investment was the restrictions associated with COVID. But those investments are ready to restart now as soon as they get the green light. And a lot of businesses still making the decision to locate in Dublin 15. And I suppose perhaps Brexit, perhaps the move to internet shopping, etc., has accelerated the investment in the likes of logistics and warehousing. But it's good that we as a county are seeing some of the dividends from that and seeing that real investment happening in the area. And of course, the likes of data centres, continuing demand for land for that purpose in the Dublin area. The issue of people wanting to locate in Fingal is connected to the fact that it's a good place to live. International companies look to Fingal as a place that meets all their needs. So our responsibility in relation to housing obviously is connected to that. We have continued to try and activate land. We have a significant infrastructural investment programme. So some of its purpose to activate housing land, more of its purpose to deliver economic development, and then associated tourism projects as well. Our investment in 2020 was 160 million. So that, I think that was a good return when you have the regard to the challenges we face. We intend to have a further investment of 217 million this year. And I'm pleased that we'll be signing the contracts for the Snowborough interchange in the coming days. And that's an investment of 16 million euro in Dublin 15. It's going to improve access to the Dublin Enterprise Zone lands, to the industrial parks in that area. But more importantly, it's going to improve the public transport network, make it more efficient, and provide for walking and cycling too. We've set up an active travel unit whose specific role is to look at how we improve walking and cycling facilities in the county. The public health advice remains walk and cycle where possible, in keeping with that outdoor advice. So we have a programme of immediate schemes that are being delivered. You'll see some of them in the area. They take time to adjust to, but the purpose of them is to have people walking and cycling and to make sure that's safe. And you'll see more schemes, and certainly there's lots of information on our website about the areas we'll be investing in. Importantly, it's bringing government funds into the county. This year, the government funds allocated to it is circa about 18 million, with some co-funding from ourselves as well. But that, as the schemes move through the design and planning stages into the construction, that's a statement of intent. That funding is there to get the schemes up and running, which means there's more investment coming in the coming years as we move to getting sites on the ground. So that's good news for the county. It's money coming into the county from outside, which is always welcome. We're also working on some tourism projects, and the likes of the Fingal Coastal Way is out for consultation at the moment. We're looking at route selection for that. That's going to be transformative in terms of inviting visitors to the county, as well as being an important service. You'll know that the compact growth is the policy we're working to in terms of housing delivery. That means increased densities, So I'm conscious that our responsibility in delivering recreational space for people as they're living in a more dense environment in their housing circumstance, you know, we need to have good quality open space and place for them to walk and cycle safely. St. Catherine's Park is still a priority for us, and we continue to invest in St. Catherine's Park. We're also looking at making the access to St. Catherine's Park safer. I've worked with government on the Office of Public Works on the Phoenix Park study. I was anxious that anything that happens to traffic movement in the Phoenix Park would be assessed in the context of the impact on the external environment in the Dublin 15 area to make sure that there is no major traffic impact on that. And we do have their commitment that that impact will be assessed before there's any changes to the route of the Phoenix Park and how traffic uses it. And then just moving on to summer 2021, I mentioned the importance of outdoor spaces at the moment. We've been planning for that since early in the year, knowing that more people are outside. That means we're investing more in the likes of public toilets. And we are now looking at keeping more of our public buildings open, even if public health guidance does not allow the service to be offered. We may be able to open public buildings for the likes of facilities like toilets, for example. And I know and appreciate more than ever the service that businesses have given in the county. But now the reality is people are buying their coffee and walking away from the facility. And we need to address that in terms of particularly this summer. I mentioned the continued investment by ourselves in public realm. I'd ask you to get ready for summer 21 with that in mind. You know, you need to plan for what business and trade you can do outdoors. We'll work with you in terms of the impact on the public street. We did before Christmas, and again we will again now. You know, as you open, if you feel there's going to be a major busyness associated with it that you need guidance on in relation to meeting public health. We're not the public health advisor, but we do have good skills within the council that can help you with that, and we can look at signage, etc., in the public realm that might help with queuing, etc. We'll continue to invest in the county. The Dublin Enterprise Zone is really important for us. So again, happy to hear your comments today in terms of anything that we might need to do to continue to promote that and make life a bit easier. I mentioned the Snowborough interchange, and I think that will be transformative in terms of access to the area. And aside from that, I think I just want to wish you well, and I really was delighted to have the chance to speak with you today, and I'll be available at the end of the webinar to take any questions. I'll hand you back to David. Thank you.
Thanks very much, AnnMarie. That's a great contribution, and a reminder, if anyone has any questions for AnnMarie this morning, to use the Q&A feature at the bottom of your Zoom toolbar. Up next, I'd like to introduce Emer O'Gorman. Emer is the Director of Economic Enterprise, Tourism and Cultural Development with Fingal County Council, and she'll speak with you and give you a presentation here this morning. Emer.
Thank you very much for the welcome, David and Andrea, and I'm delighted to be here in the second of 3 webinar series with Fingal Chamber. As a lot of you will know, we do an awful lot of work with the Chamber of Commerce, and they're key partners in all we do. There are a direct link to business, so it's essential that we have those conversations. So today I'm just going to bring you through a couple of the direct interventions that we've had ongoing during COVID, and what some of our plans look like for the future, and just a little bit of a reflection on that. So you just bear with me now. I'm going to share my screen with the presentation. Okay, so I suppose last year, as AnnMarie and everybody has alluded to, was an exceptionally difficult year for business, and this year continues to be equally difficult. The council rolled out the rates waiver scheme and continues to do that on behalf of central government, a really important support to business. I suppose it takes one thing out of the mix when there's an awful lot of competing challenges for your resources, particularly when your business cannot open to the public in a meaningful way. You may have transitioned to an online environment, but not every business has been able to do that. So the rates waiver, I suppose, has been a help to business to help keep premises in the hands of the business owners. Last year, the government announced a Restart Grant Scheme, and as AnnMarie has said, we very quickly reacted to that. We had a very short window to have the system up and live on our system. And I had to reassign staff within my own area and purpose them with getting out the Restart Grant as quickly as possible. That was our modus operandi, was to turn around the grants in as quick a time frame as you possibly could. So in the initial scheme, we had just over 1,500 applicants, businesses apply to the value of 7.6 million. But then the government announced a second scheme, which was Restart Grant Plus Grant. And that one, I suppose, allowed an additional 400 odd businesses to apply and avail of it, but it also gave some top-up grants to businesses that had applied in the first iteration of the grant. It also broadened out the scope of what was available in terms of annual turnover and the like. So it really, I suppose, it had a much broader reach to business. So that in total, we paid out nearly 31 million over the two schemes, which is a phenomenal amount of money to inject directly into local business. And what was good about the Restart Grant schemes, they weren't prescriptive in their nature. So a business owner, business manager could decide how to use that funding. You know, they could use it to make the business COVID ready for reopening, or just as a supplement to income, or whatever was needed. Lastly, government announced a second or third scheme, so the Small Business Assistance Scheme, and that actually closed yesterday for applications. So we have a number of businesses through there. So this is for businesses that were not eligible for the CRSS. So it's a small cohort of businesses were eligible. There's a payment, two small grant payments of €4,000 each, and they will be paid. They are being paid at the moment. The first tranche of them and the second tranche is payable in 3 months' time. So, I mean, we have, I suppose, been the channel for a lot of this direct funding from government. Our Leo office then, I suppose I really want to spend a little bit of time talking about what our Leo office has done in the last 12 months. They reacted exceptionally quickly. For those that don't know, this is the local enterprise office. They offer supports, training, grant aid to small and micro enterprises within the county. We have a really strong team there. And as I said, they pivoted really quickly into the online environment. And I suppose last year was a real testament to work in practice. In previous years, we would have always run a trading online voucher scheme. And while we're probably at the top of the charts in terms of the rollout of that scheme nationally, you were talking about maybe 50 or 60 trading online vouchers. A trading online voucher allows a business to transition into the digital marketplace. It's an e-commerce voucher, so it helps a business move into that online space to trade. So you can imagine the uptake in those vouchers last year in the light of COVID. So we went from 50 to 60 in 2019 to just under 1,000 trading online vouchers issued by Fingal County Council. Nationally, the uptake was up 950% on the previous year. So that just shows you the demand and the need for businesses to shift their offering into that online space. While we were experiencing and are still living through all of COVID, Brexit was quietly going on in the background. And I think it kind of got drowned out a little bit by the noise of COVID. But the Leo office maintained and continued to roll out Brexit ready supports. There was a number of webinars, training sessions that had a big uptake around, you know, is your business Brexit ready, particularly if you are trading on both sides of the border or you have east-west to the UK. So really, really important intervention for business. In tandem with all of that, the mentoring and training programs continue to roll out. Last year, or the last 12 months, we've had a COVID-specific mentoring program, so helping businesses get through the challenges of COVID, just from a financial management point of view, that transition into the online space, and a myriad of other different supports. We've continued to run our training programs, albeit in an online environment, but what we have found is that the uptake is far higher. I think people are finding it easier maybe to give 2 hours of their day to an online training program, as opposed to half a day where you're having to travel to and from and you're missing out on vital hours in the office or whatever it may be. So those training programs have gone from strength to strength. And I do think as we emerge from COVID and do start to get back into an in-person type scenario, that we will operate a hybrid model. That online training piece I can see continuing well into the next number of years. Aligned to that, our Leo office runs a number of networking events, and one of which would be the Fingal Enterprising Women's Network. Prior to COVID again, it was a quarterly event, you know, business women got together, networked, keynote speaker over an evening, maybe with a light bite. That again has transitioned completely to online, and we're now running monthly events, which again have over 100 attendees at every single one, huge numbers of them, really, really popular. And a testament to all of that work, I suppose, was the level of attendance at our Enterprise Week. We had over 3,000 attendees over the space of a week, and Fingal Chamber put on a number of the events and hosted a number of the events throughout that week. So again, it's really about working in collaboration with the various business partners around the county to put on the best programme of events that we can for the business community. So as part of what we did last year, we also ran some soft supports. So we had our Fingal In It Together charter. Some of you may be aware of it and may actually be members. We have 253 businesses currently signed up to it. What we recognised early on through the crisis was that businesses needed and were very mindful of their neighbour, particularly, I suppose, in the hospitality sector and businesses that are located on main streets or in busy town centres. The need to, I suppose, consider your business neighbour when you have a queuing system outside your business, or if you're looking to buy in safety measures for your business, shopping locally with another business that might provide that in your locale. So we designed a charter, and Fingal Chamber are one of the signatories to that charter, and then we rolled it out and launched it. And as I said, we have 253 businesses registered currently for it. So it enables businesses to work together. I suppose it's just the spirit of camaraderie, you know, kind of that, you know, I have your back, you have mine. So if you're experiencing a problem, I can maybe lend a hand. We had a really good example of a business in Castleknock, one of the publicans actually, where they were buying some screens for inside in the pub, and they sourced all the materials locally. So, you know, while they were getting COVID ready, they were also helping another business by giving them, I suppose, much needed business during a challenging time. As part of that then, I suppose we rolled over into the Christmas period, and again, recognising that, you know, the world has fundamentally shifted and we needed to change how we did our business. We would normally run a number of markets for business, for small artisan producers and for the small business craft industry around the county, and we couldn't do that because of COVID this year. So we transitioned that into an online marketplace, and we had 120 producers sell their product via our website for the Christmas period. So it didn't matter whether your business was digitally enabled or not. We had one really good example of a wood turner who only operates, you know, kind of out of his garage, and it's a kind of a phone call to him and he'll make you a bespoke piece of wood. So what we did is we took photographs of his product, put them up online with his phone number. So, you know, we had a myriad of businesses. So from that very low tech intervention to a business that might have a really strong presence on Facebook or Instagram with a click through from our website onto theirs to enable them, the consumer, to purchase directly from the seller. So I suppose really with that, it was really recognising what was going on your doorstep. We've huge buy-in locally from the citizens of the county. Residents want to shop local. Residents want to visit local. They want to, you know, use the businesses that are in their area. And we found that to various conversations with the public over the last while. I suppose building on from that, we introduced a number of stimulus measures, some of which you may have been partners with in the last 12 months, and all of these are rolling into 2021. So last year we introduced a Parklet Partner Scheme. So essentially this is taking over parking bays along our busy streets and converting them into outdoor public realm space. Primarily, I suppose, again, it's aimed at possibly the hospitality sector more so, but it also allows, I suppose, an expansion of the public realm. So what we did, we put out an advertisement, we got expressions of interest, we did an assessment on the street. So this ticks a number of boxes. It helps businesses reopen safely. It also moves us into that active travel space by reducing the proliferation of cars in our towns and villages, and allows people to pass and move safely in our towns and villages. So the business then signs an MOU with the council. We provide the infrastructure, as in the decking and the sidings and all of that, make it safe. It's structurally safe. We sign off on all of that. And then the business is responsible for the upkeep of it and the securing of it and the cleaning of it. Along with that, we ran a shopfront improvement scheme last year, and that has just been launched again for this year. So that's a shop paint, any business that had fronting onto a street, a main street, were eligible to apply for paint or other interventions. That it's a small grant scheme, but it's coming directly from the local authority. It's not funded from elsewhere, but we just saw it as a help, an intervention, something small that we could do to maybe take some of the burden away from business. It also, I suppose, fits in with some of our towns and villages would have a very bespoke colour schemes and have a particular look that they want to achieve, and that had just helped to do that. You might have noticed recently Fáilte Ireland announced an outdoor dining scheme. So Fingal County Council again are leading that out for the local authority. So we are running the application system here. It's all online. It's all of our business supports you'll find on fingal.ie/business. So the outdoor dining scheme again is a grant scheme available for any facility that offers food for an in-dining experience to the public. So it's open to the likes of a golf club that has a restaurant that's open to the public. Equally, it's open to a coffee shop that's open to the public and offers food. It's not open to wet bars, unfortunately, and it's not open to private members clubs. And it's a grant of up to €4,000 is available. The beauty of this scheme is that it's retrospective in nature. So if you have had any expenditure since April of last year, right through to September of this year, it's vouched expenditure. You can apply online, produce your receipts, and we will process the grant for you. The one caveat I have on it is that if you intend to purchase furniture for the public realm for outside your premises that is on a public footpath, it will require a street furniture license application. But we have a dedicated team in here internally and a cross-departmental team. So every application we get in, we consult and liaise with our colleagues in our operations department to make sure that we can facilitate as many of these requests for use of the public realm as possible. I mentioned Leo office earlier, and I also mentioned the shop local and that the sentiment that is there for people to shop local. And what we're finding is that, as I said, there's been a huge sentiment. So our Leo office in the run up to Christmas ran a huge initiative on digital print and radio advertising. But in tandem with that, we've been running and supporting through the last 12 months a young social entrepreneur who developed a very clever app called shoplocal.irish. It's web enabled, it's mobile enabled. Basically, it geolocates you to the service. So if you are, I used the example yesterday, if you wanted to buy fresh fish and you wanted it delivered, for example, this app, if you type in fresh fish, it'll geolocate you within 5k of your location. The fish shops that are in your locale, it'll give you those that do deliveries, those that are click and collect, or those that are open for business. So it's a really, really clever tool. It, I suppose, really came to the fore during the first lockdown, and it's gone from strength to strength. I think we've over nearly 500 companies registered on it at the moment, and we've had interest from other local authorities in other county areas who want to take it on. So it's something that we're in conversation with Enterprise Ireland to see if we can spin it out into the kind of, make it a national app, make it something more than it is. But as I said, it's a social entrepreneur running it at the moment, so I suppose resources are limited, but very proud to say it was a winner in the Chambers Ireland Awards last year. We do an awful lot of work as well in developing our tourism industry. Tourism provides 1 in 4 jobs in the county, either directly through the tourism and hospitality sector or through the service industry that supports that. So a lot of our work has been around encouraging active travel. It has been around online, again, digital promotion, our Love Fingal brand, our Dublin Coast and Fields brand, online events. You will have seen the Dublin 15 area as well. We have had a lot of lighting of public buildings, namely Driocht. We've been working in partnership with the management of Driocht. We had Messages of Hope, we had Heroes of Hope, and then just general lighting for St. Patrick's Day, etc. I suppose we ran a bespoke campaign last year about staycations and the Dublin Day Tripper, in partnership with Fingal Chamber and the members of Fingal Chamber, really trying to drive, I suppose, that brand recognition that Fingal has something really unique to offer. So, you know, if it's a stay in Castleknock with a visit to Dublin Zoo and a visit into the Phoenix Park, there's an awful lot to offer. And I think sometimes the Fingal message can get lost in the overall Dublin brand, but the beauty of Fingal is that you can be in the city centre in 20 minutes and also in a fabulous parkland 20 minutes the other side. So we are the wide open space that people are thriving for and looking for. I do see that continued collaboration with the Chamber as a really, really important element of our work. We have a very strong tourism working group with Fingal Chamber, and I think it's key to our decision making in what we're going to do this year and next year, and to try and recover and position ourselves as we emerge from COVID. AnnMarie mentioned about the Dublin Enterprise Zone and how important that is to Fingal. It's a key element of our investment decision making. It's how we attract businesses. We market it heavily. It's a real jewel in our crown, and it's a bit of a hidden gem, you know, located between the M1, M2, M3 and the M50. It's a huge area of land that we're immensely proud of, the businesses that are working there. So I just want to finish by showing a short video clip, which is kind of our pitch to business. It's our pitch to FDI, and I suppose why invest in Fingal, and showing all that we have to offer there. So if you just bear with me a second. And just to finish up, I suppose you'll see on that presentation in the top right-hand corner, there was the Dublin Belfast Economic Corridor. So Fingal are, I suppose, partners in that, and we are the lead agent of 8 local authorities and 2 universities. And that's, I suppose, a network which links Dublin all the way to Belfast. We see it as a hugely important network. We launched it on the 24th of March. Some of you may have attended that online launch, but we will be reaching out in the coming weeks and months to relevant stakeholders, you know, different elements of the business community, to hear your voice, to hear what we can do to help leverage that position along this really, really important corridor. So it swings from the M50 up the M1 and all the way to Belfast. So it's really, really important for us. It's about clustering. We have that in practice, I suppose, in the Dublin Enterprise Zone. We've seen the myriad of different types of businesses located there, but there is that clustering effect, and it's trying to leverage that to position Fingal as, I suppose, the driver both of the national economy and then locally and along that economic corridor. So very happy to take any questions, and thank you very much for your time. Thanks, David.
Great, thanks very much for that contribution, Emer. We're going to move into the question and answer session now for everyone. So if you do have any questions, please do note them down in the Q&A feature there at the bottom of your Zoom toolbar. And as I said at the start, we'll do our very best to get to them. One of the first people, I'll look to bring in Guy Thompson. Guy, will you have a question there? And I'll allow you to speak if you are available. And you might put the question to our panel here today.
Thank you very much, David. Just first of all, to Fingal County Council, just very much congratulations. Some fantastic work being done by the council under extremely difficult circumstances over the last 12 months. So really very well done to everybody in the council. Sort of really in relation to tourism and hospitality, really sort of around Fingal tourism, I'm just interested to know, Fingal County Council did some great work last year, when we were reopening hospitality, and I just wondered if there's any plans to resurrect that going forward for this opening, hopefully in late June, and what can we as businesses do to support Fingal County Council on that? Thank you.
Great question, Guy, and nice to talk to you. I suppose, yeah, we did a lot of work last year. We actually are meeting with Fáilte Ireland next week to align our marketing views and just trash out kind of what the future looks like and where we might go with it. As you know, we ran a very successful campaign for staycationers and day trippers last year, so we want to really build on that. We have been focusing up to now really on the digital side of things, on our Love Fingal Dublin Instagram and Twitter accounts and Facebook, and again with the Dublin Coast and Fields. So any business, anybody that's in the hospitality sector that wants to share their content with us, we're happy to do that, promote it, retweet it, and that, I suppose, what our two tourism social media accounts do is try and profile and highlight what the business sector have to offer, what a specific hotel has to offer by retweeting and click through. So we are working again on that premise. As I said, we're going to try and dovetail our plans with Fáilte Ireland's plans, and on the back of that, then we will be meeting very shortly with the tourism group again, the subset of the Fingal Chamber, and just to see how we can align our plans collectively for the summer period. But any support that we can give through our digital content, we're more than happy to do that again. Thanks.
Thanks, Emer.
Great. We have a question in as well from Lisa, and she's asking about the parklets. Are they specific to outdoor dining, or could they be used for outdoor fitness classes or training?
That is a good question. I suppose when we launch it, generally the parklet partners, we try to get a number of businesses to work together. So if we have 2 or 3 businesses and they're all happy to work as a parklet, we will put in a parklet. We haven't had any approaches for people to run fitness classes in them. That's not to say it would be discounted. So certainly it'll be going live today, the application system on fingal.ie/business. So certainly apply, we'll have a conversation and we'll see what we can do.
Super. I might ask a question then in relation to the Dublin Enterprise Zone and the public transport that was mentioned earlier on, and the interchange that might be coming on stream soon. Can you speak a little bit more about that?
Yeah, well, I think anyone who travels in Dublin 15 will be aware there's generally a tailback onto the N3 there as you're trying to access the Dublin Enterprise Zone or the other shopping centre. So it's the bridge across the motorway. It's a narrow 2-lane bridge at the moment, so that's now going to be widened to allow a public transport corridor as well as the walking and cycling I mentioned. So it will allow quick access off the M3 onto or into the employment lands there. So it will be a much more efficient. It's a complex enough project now because there's a lot of infrastructure at that interchange, but I'm pleased that we have a contractor appointed and that work will get underway as soon as restrictions allow.
That's great. Do you have any estimate on what time of delivery that might be?
It's going to be, I think it's a 2.5-2-year delivery. So, it is a major project, but exciting to get it underway. I suppose we work very closely with the likes of the NTA in terms of their public transport plans. So Bus Connect, for example, we've worked well with them. And in fairness, they're a good partner. They've brought a lot of funds into the county. They do recognise the level of employment in the county and are trying to target the investment in the right places.
Great, yeah. I know that in the last number of years, in relation to the Dublin Enterprise Zone, we've seen other investment along that M3. So right next to the Dublin 15 area, I believe Facebook data centre is gone, I suppose, just across the border into County Meath, and MS Steve now taking on a plant out on that road also, is not being too far, I suppose, from Intel and the likes. Is there any other major investments that are planned to go into the Dublin Enterprise Zone over the next while?
Well, we've had some exciting conversations. I suppose a lot of these players are reluctant to announce that they're located in an area. So we have to leave the announcements to them. But certainly I'd be aware that there's a lot of construction happening right now that are for multinationals, albeit that the announcement hasn't come. But surprisingly, the number of jobs associated with these projects is much higher than I would have expected.
That's great to hear. Just have another question there, just asking about the SBAC scheme. Someone has said that their application seems to be a little bit delayed. Is it generally a 2-week turnaround for that program?
It is, but we had some, I suppose, technical issues nationally. So the system, it was all, I suppose, coordinated centrally through a portal in the LGMA, but there was been some technical issues with the back end of it nationally. So they've finally been resolved this week. I know I signed an order for a tranche of payments yesterday. So hopefully that money will start flowing. But I suppose if that individual has a particular query, if they email you through the chamber maybe and pass on the details to us, we'll certainly check it out for them and get back to them quickly.
Yeah, I should say, if anyone has any follow-up questions to this morning, they can email us directly at events@fingalchamber.ie, and we'll do our best to get that to the most appropriate person within our own team, or obviously also within Fingal County Council. So yeah, that's events@fingalchamber.ie for anyone.
David, there's one further thing I might just come in on in relation to the hospitality sector. Minister Catherine Martin is working hard on the nighttime economy, looking at developing a range of supports for the hospitality sector that may suit further development of the nighttime economy along the European model. So I understand that she's moving to announce that quite soon, and it should align with the timing of hospitality reopening. So it's good to know that there's a lot of initiatives happening in this area. So will ultimately be a very broad range of supports, I think.
Brilliant. And Emer, I might just come to you then. What would you say is probably the biggest opportunity for businesses, if it's a small business, growing business that's on the call here this morning, if they're looking to, I suppose, further engage with the council or seek some benefit for their business? What would you say is their first kind of port of call, or where they should go and signpost them to?
Yeah, well, I suppose I've mentioned a couple of times during the course of the discussion today, our fingal.ie/business has, I suppose, a good repository of all the different supports, be them supports that have come via government or our own direct supports. We also have a dedicated email address at econdev@fingal.ie. But look, anybody that wants to have an in-depth conversation, if they're thinking about expanding business or anything like that, if they contact me via yourselves, more than happy to have those conversations with a group of businesses or individually. It's not a problem. I'm very happy to do that. There is opportunity there. I know business have had an incredibly tough time the last 12 months, but I think it's a testament to those businesses at their resilience. We've all had to change how we do our business, and businesses really put their shoulder to the wheel. As soon as there's an opportunity to trade or to open, people are there with smiles on their faces, and I think that whole customer experience has been phenomenal, that experiential piece. Again, as AnnMarie said, if you're in the hospitality or tourism trade, there are supports coming through. Our active travel measures, I think, are going to bring new life into our towns and villages. We're working very much to this town centre first approach, which we've seen, I suppose, because of various lockdowns, a lot of people working from home. and getting our towns and villages now to support that lifestyle choice that people have made. Now, I know we've had exodus from Dublin generally to Cavan, Roscommon, wherever it might be, but there are people around Fingal that want to work more locally than they did previously. So it's working with the businesses, the towns, you know, the residents, the community groups in those towns, to seeing what, you know, is possible for the future and what their town centre might look like, be that the provision of digital working space, remote working hubs. Again, huge opportunity there. We're currently conducting an audit in that space, trying to map where the gaps are in the market. You know we have a number of enterprise centres that have remote working capacity. We know there are a number of players in the private market that are doing that. So it's, I suppose, stitching that all together and seeing where there are gaps, and then trying to leverage that to look at funding opportunities, and, you know, to bring better broadband connection, bring public Wi-Fi, those kind of measures to kind of really revitalise our towns and villages.
Fantastic, that's great. To close, I'd like to thank Fingal Chamber President Andrea Malloy. Also like to thank Fingal County Council, of course, AnnMarie Farrelly and Emer O'Gorman for accepting our invite to speak with businesses this morning. If you found this event useful, or if you've learned something, please share those details with us via the form that we'll receive by email. And to support our work and allow us to keep holding these kind of briefings, please consider Chamber membership or recommending it to those in your network who you feel may be interested. As we mentioned earlier on, Fingal Chamber helps businesses of all sizes to grow and develop by providing members with opportunities to influence policy, connect with businesses and professionals, upskill their staff, promote their business and trade internationally. I encourage you to check out our upcoming activities on the Chamber website. That's fingalchamber.ie to find out more. Thanks again for joining us, and hope you all stay safe.